Welcome back, guys. Today I'd like to discuss what plumbing was like before I had my stroke. So, plumbing had a profound impact on my life. I absolutely loved plumbing and hydraulic engineering. I absolutely loved drawing plumbing plans and working on construction sites. So, I just wanted to go into a bit of, just for posterity reasons, what plumbing was like when I was plumbing. I'm not sure if it's relevant now, but maybe in 50 or 100 years it'll be relevant. So, this is what it was like. So I got into plumbing about 1 or 2 years after high school, which was actually a really helpful thing to do. I bounced around for a few years, did some odd jobs, and just said to Dad, "What should I do with my life? Which direction should I head in?" And Dad said, "If I had my time again, I would have been a plumber." So I pulled out the phone book and I rang every plumber in the area until I found a job. It was only about 10 phone calls. This guy just said, "Can you be at this place at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning?" And I started a 4 year apprenticeship there. So this company was a big company. It had 30, 40 plumbers at any stage on their books, and it was a brilliant company to work for. The boss was really hands on. He was a brilliant mentor for me and a really close friend. Really good company to work for. They had a strong affiliation with the trade school that you get trained at, so we were very well trained as plumbers under his control. So plumbing's broken down into a few different streams like water, hot and cold water, roofing, sanitary, and you can specialize in any of those. Our company did absolutely everything. I did tap washers for old ladies and also did 100-story apartment towers, so I got a real wealth of knowledge from the company that I worked for. The apprenticeship was pretty hard, to be honest. Really early mornings, long days, 6 day weeks. Absenteeism, having a day off was not tolerated at all. I'm not sure if I ever had a day off in my plumbing career. It was just 6 day weeks were basically compulsory. And you didn't take a day off work. It just didn't happen. There were plenty of plumbers waiting for your job. We were pretty well paid, so you didn't take a day off work at all. If you got hit by a car, you didn't die. You went to work. So there was a lot of looking back, was it abuse or I'm not sure, but you get picked on quite heavily when you're an apprentice and you make a stupid mistake. You get verbally abused amongst your peers, but it's all fun and games. You end up being friends with them. Once you're fully trained, you end up being friends with the people that trained you, and yet you really understand why that was so hard on you in the initial first few years. It really puts some thick skin on you and toughens you up and makes you a better plumber. Quality was everything with our company. Mistakes weren't tolerated, so quality was absolutely everything. We did everything perfectly, and all of our work was inspected by the plumbing board. So at around, I'd say about 2008 or 2006 when I started plumbing, we were using plastic piping. We used the brand called Rehau, which came from Germany. That was the preferred brand at the time. It was a crimp fit, so you needed a specialised tool. They were about $5,000 each, and we had about 100 of those. Every plumber needed one of these crimp tools. But the best thing about Rehau was it was crimped so tightly and so well, you'll never ever have a water blowout or a leak. There was really good quality stuff. We did use a lot of copper, a lot of 1/2 inch and 3/4 copper, also a lot of 2 inch copper for gas lines. I welded a lot of 100 mil copper for fire hydrants and large water meter setups for large buildings. I learned a lot of copper work. There was still a lot of copper work happening. Every single day we were bending and welding copper. Everybody on site had to learn how to do it. Everybody had to know how to do it. It was so important to learn how to use copper, and it's a lost art. It's getting to be a lost art. The work of copper amongst plumbers, but plastic was being used a lot, especially for hot and cold water. The only copper water we do was between the inside of the house and the hot water service. You need 1 meter of copper between plastic and the hot water service. So every hot water tail, we called them, would be welded up and everything would be pressure tested and made sure it didn't leak before we left. So yeah, as I said, a lot of copper work, a lot of 2 inch copper welding. We worked on some large houses and they all had swimming pools which had gas heating. So if a house had a swimming pool, it was immediately a 2-inch gas pipe just to be able to cope with the volume and the pressure that the swimming pool gas heater needed. It was a minimum 2-inch gas pipe, so I did a lot of 2-inch welding, very complex bends and angles and things. I absolutely loved it. So the first 3 years of your plumbing apprenticeship, you go to trade school. I believe it's 1 week per month. You have a week off work and you go to school for a week, and this continues for 3 years until you sit an exam, and you're expected to know the plumbing code like the back of your hand. It's quite a difficult exam. It's called a journeyman's exam. Many people fail it and reapply. You have to pay every time. Everybody in my class failed it. I managed to pass it first go. They actually allowed me to sit the exam early because the 3 years of plumbing, mathematics, and the hydraulic sizing and the learning side of plumbing, I managed to cram into about 6 months. So I was allowed back at work as a full-time plumber after only 6 months of being an apprentice, which is a huge advantage because that meant that I was put in charge of commercial building design and the commercial side of the company. I was put in charge of that. So that was a really big advantage to finishing all my work really early and getting signed off as quick as possible. And then as soon as I finished that, I started night school, postgraduate studies, and eventually became a hydraulic designer, a hydraulic engineer to design plans for buildings, which I absolutely loved. It was my favourite thing to do. I'd be drawing plumbing plans for people for work to be done the next day, and go to site and give the plumbers their plans, and I'd talk them through it, and they just do it all. I absolutely loved it. The postgraduate studying I did was a course that was a very lengthy course at the time. It was called Pipeline Design, and it teaches you how to hydraulic design plumbing, hot, cold water, drainage, and most importantly, venting of drainage systems, because venting is crucial for plumbing. Without venting, we wouldn't have sanitation, period. We wouldn't have evolved as a culture. So as a plumber, getting your head around where vents go and how important they are is absolutely crucial. And this course I did called Pipeline Design taught me how to design a very well vented system, fully vented modified systems, AAV valves. I was able to basically design a building, all of the plumbing from ground up. I could do it within a week or two, depending on the size of the building, and have the plans back to the boss, and he'd spread them out to the plumbers, and then they'd follow my work, and everything would go well. Most type of new build plumbing work is what's known as design and construct. So the architect's given you a plan of the house and a layout of where the plumbing fixtures are, and you have to design it, size it yourself as a plumber. So this is called design and construct. So that's what it's mainly used for new builds. But as soon as a project exceeds a certain dollar value, there is an arbitrary value. I think it's $2 million, or there may be a size of the project's footprint. It has to be designed by a hydraulic engineer or someone with relevant qualifications, such as me. So that's why I would, if we were bidding for a big project, I would fully design it and show them how well it's been designed before we've even started the project. And that was a big plus side of knowing how to design and knowing how to win jobs. Just having the confidence to say, I've actually already designed all the plumbing in the entire building, and I plan to have it done within 6 months. We'd win a lot of jobs with that kind of attitude. So once projects do exceed a certain value or size of footprint, it has to be designed, obviously. And again, when you reach another tier, the construction union, the plumbing union get involved, and that's very highly regulated. So we did a lot of design and construct work, which I loved because I could design it myself, and I just knew that there would never be a problem with plumbing because I just knew it so well. I knew the plumbing code like the back of my hand. I could just cite page after page of plumbing code stuff. It was like my experience with stroke and neuroscience and neurology and psychology now. Back then it was hydraulic engineering. It was just my whole life. I absolutely loved it. I also just loved knowing that plumbing was the most important job in the world, because without plumbing you don't have sanitation, and we all know what that looks like. I don't even have to explain it, but without plumbers you don't have sanitation, and we wouldn't have evolved as we have. The plague would certainly still be around. There'd be open sewer pits and things like that. If you go to poorly developed countries like maybe India or Thailand or Vietnam, and you notice plumbing, if you're a plumber, you notice plumbing everywhere you go, and you see some pretty dodgy kind of stuff. The problem with the unregulated plumbing system in the poor developed countries is that they use the incorrect fittings, incorrect pipe size, and the result is low water pressure or no pressure at all. Bad venting, bad smelling toilets, open sewers. So that's the result of not using the plumbing code as it was made. Melbourne's plumbing code, I had the absolute privilege of working with two engineers that sat on the board who wrote the code. They were giants in the industry, and I had the privilege of working with them too, under their tutelage for a few years, which was absolutely brilliant. But they helped write the plumbing code, and that came from the London plumbing code, I believe. So that's what plumbing was like back in 2008. It's changed a little since then. I'm still friends with plumbers, and we talk daily, and it's changing rapidly. Just the techniques used and the tools used. So I thought it was relevant to show you how important it was to know how to bend and weld copper. In 2008, it was extremely important to know how to bend copper absolutely perfectly. Any bend that was slightly 1 degree off was discarded and started again. Only perfection was left with our company. So if my son, I got 2 sons and a daughter, if any of them were a plumber, I'd be absolutely thrilled. I think it's an amazing trade. There is so much to learn, and I absolutely love it. I miss it terribly. I did try and return to plumbing post-stroke several times, but it just didn't work out. I'm just not strong enough. My left arm's not strong enough to be a plumber. You need 2 really strong hands, and this one's made of wood. Although it looks pretty good and I can play guitar, it's still made of wood, and I just can't manage to use both hands at once as a plumber needs to. I tried half a dozen times, but it just didn't work out, so I had to kind of admit defeat, and that was really encouragement to start this channel and help as many people as possible. So thanks for listening, guys.